everyone, and welcome to the Ladies Tale, possibly Woman's Cave podcast. I'm not quite sure. It depends on the schedule of the Ladies Tale this year. Oh, did I say year? I meant month or maybe week. I'm very confused, y'all. I'm in a lot of pain. And no, it's not a toothache. For once in my life, it's not a toothache. I am so excited. Woo! Wait, I can't be that excited to be in pain. Yeah, no, anyway. There was other things I was going to talk about today, like the 25 Hottest is out, and I really don't feel like doing a whole rambling thing. Because, yep, I'm still in pain. I think like I should throw one narcissist thing in here to make it feel like it's a Winona day. So look at my pretty earrings. They look cute. Don't look at my bags under my eyes. Yeah, that was the second heart wasn't necessary. Anyway, you're not here to hear about me. You're here to hear more about my books. And then I'm going to do the actual introduction for my guest. I loved how my guest got nervous. Like, what? It's time already? No, I got confused. It's the pain. We wrote books. We mean there's a missing Jade that's normally right here that goes, well, no, you need to behave. But she's not here to do that. So I'm going to be rambling. The books are, And I Thought Divorce Was Bad with Other Life Lessons. And I Thought Being Grown Up Was Easy. Not around right now. I don't know why. And I thought, no, there's not another And I Thought. I'm sorry. And I Thought Divorce Was Bad. And I Thought Being Grown Up Was Easy. If Only I Were Me, a memoir in verse. Widow's Web, Widow's Debt, and Foreign Coffee. All 6 of those books you can find wherever your audiobooks are sold. You can pick them up and get audiobooks, and then that means we get money, and that makes me very happy because I get to buy a new pair of adorable earrings and get rid of the underbag. Let me creams for these. So buy audiobooks. I should mention that Jade's favorite book is soon going to be an audiobook, like next month. It's And I Thought I Did My Journey Alone. And you can see the rest of our, well, now that I've said 7, it has to be 10 because 10 plus 7 equals 17. The rest of our 10 books on www.andithoughladies.com. You know, since I'm here by myself, pain or not, I have got to go back and do that like I'm a car salesman. So it is www.andithoughladies.com. Oh, I love that every time. Look at the kitty cat. It was even astonished, right? I'm sorry. I will be quiet now because you're not here to hear about me. You're here to hear about our wonderful guests. Wonderful guests, would you like to introduce yourself?
Oh, you were such a pleasure. I am Marissa Decuir. I guess a few things about me. I clearly have one too many cats. And I live in New Orleans and I DIY my own Mardi Gras costumes every year. It's like the highlight of my year. And I run a book publicity firm. For 22 years, we've been representing authors all over the world. Indie authors, university press authors, authors with major traditional publishers, books of all genres, and authors of all backgrounds. And we're very, very lucky. We love storytelling and just very excited to be here because you are a great storyteller, Winona. And so I'm excited to chat with you today.
Oh, she's such a good liar. I love her. You make a great publicist. Okay, so honestly, I was going to start with my narcissism question. I thought about a professional question, and I have landed on food because that's more important than everything. Beignets in New Orleans.
I'm from New Orleans. We talk about what we're eating for dinner when we're eating lunch. So food is of utmost importance.
This is my life. This is the last thing on my bucket list because it was the last thing to get added. I did not find out about this until like 7 years ago. Beignets in New Orleans. How good are they? Are they as good as they say? Because I have a Cafe du Monde mix in my refrigerator.
Yeah.
But are they better at the cafe?
I'm sure. I've actually never had the box because I've never had to have the box before. So I can't really attest to it. I'm sorry. Some people say they're overrated. I personally love beignets. Like, I don't care. I'm from here, born and raised here. I'm like, I'm going to eat them. I don't like, no, y'all can be judgy, whatever. I don't care. They're delicious. Some people say they're like, I don't know if you know what an elephant ear is at like the fair. They're like, oh, it's just like an overrated elephant ear. I'm like, no, it's fluffy, warm, breaded deliciousness with a little crunch and a ton of powdered sugar. Come on. No, they're great.
Funnel cake on steroids.
So yes, I hope you have them at some point in your life.
I need to. I'm so sad. I mean, I hear that.
I'm sure they're great out of the box. I'm sure they are.
No, not the way that I make them because the box is only supposed to yield like 6 or 7 batches. And the way I make them, it yields 24 because mine's are about big. And
you're just trying to stretch it out. Yeah.
Right. And so they're about this big, but it uses like a half pack of powdered sugar because we're dumb.
That sounds pretty great.
I'm down for anything that is fried dough and then they put sweet on it.
Right?
When I was in Greece, I don't know what those things are called.
Oh. Is it like baklava or no?
No, God, no. I mean, baklava is amazing in Greece. But no, I would not eat that. It's little dough balls and they fry it and then they put it in honey. They dip the hot and they just pour honey.
Oh, I know what you're talking about. Yeah. I don't know what it's called. I can't think of it right now. Now I like have to have that.
Yeah, I do. So like I was like in Greece and then someone said fried dough balls and I said, do you see my pretty little self? I don't eat fried dough. And I was like, well, I'm on vacation. Let me try it.
Oh,
and I
was like, fried dough.
Fried dough.
Yeah. I moved away from Louisiana for a while. I was in like Chicago and Nashville and different places. And when I came back, I had to like be careful about what I was eating because it was just like fried catfish and fried everything plus fried dough, for dessert. Like not exactly the healthiest cuisine down here, but it sure is good.
It's got to be the best. Oh, that's Faye, the jambalaya. Yeah. I have a friend from New Orleans who makes it, but she makes it healthy, which sucks. It's so good. I bet you it's better when it's not that healthy.
Oh yeah. I feel like if anything's good, it's probably not healthy for you.
So I have to ask, and then I swear I'm going to be professional. You guys know how much I love to have a publicist on the show, and no, we're talking about food. There's that rabbit hole I warned you about. You said New Orleans and Chicago, and I've never heard anyone say this, so I have to know who wins the food battle, New Orleans or Chicago, Illinois?
Oh man, I mean, hands down New Orleans, but I will say New Orleans is a very specific cuisine. It's Cajun food, whereas in Chicago, I personally like the variety and like just the different cultures and communities and cuisines you can find there. So, if it's like, a one-day battle, like I would put one of the Cajun restaurants over, one of the other restaurants any day. But if you're like long-term eating the food a lot, I could see there, I miss a lot of the stuff in Chicago that we don't have as much of it down here, but I got to go with New Orleans.
You do know there's something called tasteofchicago.com, right? Where you have it shipped to your door.
Yeah. We actually sent someone a pizza the other day from there. I can't remember. I think it was Giordano.
So my address is send me my pizza.
There should be that for New Orleans. Like, I feel like the food here is so weird though, that people are like, I don't want you to ship that random crawfish head to me. Like, no.
I think it has to be hot and served there. Like,
yeah,
it
does. Yeah.
I'm gonna be no, I'm not saying what I'm thinking, so I'm gonna move on. But yeah, like, okay, so I'll tell you, because I've never been to New Orleans, but I'll tell you my Chicago story. I went there and everyone's like, eat a Chicago hot dog. And I was like, well, I don't think I'm gonna like it. So I want to have it in the worst place ever. I'm gonna just get it from a street vendor. Oh my God.
Surprisingly delicious.
I was like, I've never had a hot dog taste this good.
Yeah, now you can never have other hot dogs again.
No, you cannot. And then like after that, I was like, well, then I better eat at some restaurants, and everyone did not fail. I had soul food, I had Russian food, I had Greek food, I've had Italian food.
So much variety.
Oh, good. And I'm from Maryland, so even having their seafood, I was like, it's a different kind of good. So I say it's all right, but it's good.
Yeah.
Oh, and the dessert. Oh
yeah.
So when we come to New Orleans, we're going on an eat-a-thon, right? So
hey,
now
I'm ready. You just let me know.
So now when we go to Chicago, it's literally we lose weight to do 8 hours of eating 3 days out of we are there for 3 days, and we call it an eat-a-thon. And we eat.
Yeah. You need to do the same when you come here.
Oh yeah, I plan on it. I have been planning on this my whole life.
But don't worry, you'll just sweat it all off because it's extremely hot. So it kind of like balances out, I think.
So like one workout in the humidity and the heat and we're good.
Right. Yeah. I feel like that's how it works.
New Orleans wins over Chicago just because of the calories. How you can get calories.
Right. Boom. It's like this added layer to your diet down here. you know.
Oh my God. Okay. Professional questions, because I'm way over 10 to 17 minutes and I have not asked one professional question. So you said that you have represented multiple genres of books. Can you, of course, I'm starting with the normal question, give us at least one piece of advice that every author should be thinking about when they're like, ooh, I want publicity for my book?
Yeah, I hope this doesn't sound too general, but this is where I have every author start. And it might be a little surprising, but it's think of what your goal as an author is. And it might at first seem obvious, like, oh, I want to be a best-selling author. Like, well, everyone wants that. So like dive into that a little bit more, are you trying to build up your brand in a certain genre? Are you trying to get a message out there? Do you have like a message or mission driven book? Are you like a nonfiction author who has a business book out and you're using the book as a sales tool to, collect email addresses and like sell your services later? Like, think about like, what are you actually trying to get out of it? And then put together a like realistic and like definable step-by-step plan to where you can get there. Put the lofty goals on there, absolutely, but start with like the very first steps that you can be taking. Like, I'm going to, like, if your goal is to build up a social media presence and you're like, I have no idea where to start, we'll start by looking at an author who's doing really well on there and just take notes. So like, just if you're kind of like, where do I start, just think about your goal and write out a to-do list of like, what are some reasonable, actionable steps I can take towards, even if it's a really lofty goal, just what are some ways that I can get there? So yeah, I know that might feel like a little general, but that's kind of how we start shaping our plans, because we need to know what the long game is here. Like, we know we want to get the book out there and build readership and build sales, and everyone wants to do that, get reviews, like we want to do that in general, but like, what's your long game? Like, and how do you see certain steps you can take to get there? Because a lot of authors just kind of start doing stuff, but they don't take that like bird's eye view. So I think that's really important to start there and then strategize.
Not speaking as a publicist at all, any way, shape, or form, unless you want to like take some of my publicity courses. I'm joking. I don't have those.
Good.
Only if a conference asks me to speak, then I have one. Otherwise, I don't have one. So not speaking as anyone valid in the industry, I'm hearing what I would normally say is think of your big goal and then immediately divide it down into 5 smaller steps. And if your 5 smaller steps can get you to your big goal, this is probably a good idea.
Yep.
5 smaller steps are going to have 3 layers under it. So it's going to be at least 15 small goals to get to your one big goal.
Right.
Oh yeah.
And then you can start celebrate like that way. If you're just like, oh, I'm not at my end game yet, well, then that's overwhelming and like defeating. But if you're taking these small steps and you're like celebrating little victories along the way, and you're like feeling motivated and positive and confident, and you're believing more in yourself, and so yeah, it's really important to celebrate those little steps. And I'm a nerd for a good to-do list. So I like checking things off, and then I'm going to feel more productive, and then I'll get something else maybe that was harder to check off. So yeah, absolutely. Yeah. You articulated it better than I ever could.
I've said it a lot. So this now comes the question of, I hope I can remember it, because all I can remember is my narcissism question right now, and I don't want to go into my narcissism question. So yeah, second question was going to be about book marketing as a niche. I find that the more I talk to people in PR, I'm like, oh, and then book marketing, they're like, oh no, that's a niche, sweetie, it's not included. How does one take, like, because you came from a journalist background, and how do you make it like fit in that little niche of PR of book marketing?
Yeah. So, strangely enough, our firm actually is more of a comprehensive author publicity and book marketing firm, because we think that the two go hand in hand. Like, it's like, you can't have like publicity in and of itself Sure, you hope that someone reads a review or, reads an interview with the author in their local newspaper, whatever, and they buy the book. That's great. You hope that that happens, but we find that you're building up publicity in order to make your marketing efforts that more effective. So like, for example, you build up all of these reviews, and you get your book on a ton of reading lists, and you do a lot of interviews, and you get a lot of exposure, and there's a lot of benefit that comes from that. But then we're all about maximizing, like, how do you maximize those things? Well, let's say you have an advertisement that is pushing people to, your retail page. Well, now you've listed on the editorial reviews all the reviews you've gotten, and you've mentioned, oh, it won this award. And so, like, if you were just only doing book marketing and you were advertising on Facebook or Amazon or wherever the case may be, and there's like kind of nothing to show for it. I hate to say that, because obviously there's a great book, to show for it, but there's 3 million other books that are coming out that year to show, like, that are competing against you. So like, you've got to have something that makes your retail listing stand out and make that ad more effective. You don't want to just send people to your retail page. You want it to stand out and like have some oomph to it. And so, yeah, publicity and marketing go hand in hand. Or like, if we, might start some marketing efforts early on, like we'll help an author build up their email list, and then they start doing publicity tactics and like working with that email list and just doing more traditional publicity. So yeah, I think they really go hand in hand. And that was really important to us about 7 years ago to, like, formalize. Well, we have our digital marketing division where we just totally expanded our services and saw the things that were kind of moving the sales needle more. Publicity is more about branding, whereas marketing's more like, okay, are these ad clicks turning into dollars, basically? So yeah, I am like, it's a great question, because I firmly believe that they go hand in hand. And I'm like really excited that we have people on our team who understand both of those worlds. And now you see I'm rambling, but I just get excited about this. I'm such a nerd. But like, even for advertising, like, there's one thing to run an ad for a book, and there's another, about that journalism background, like, what's the attention grabbing headline that you can use for the ad? So, all of that experience just kind of combines to make things more effective. So if you're thinking about marketing from a publicity perspective and vice versa, it really can go a long way, I think.
How important are, of course, every author wants to know this, how important are brands? What is a brand? Is it important? And then lastly, how important is that platform?
Yeah. Well, again, there comes down to your goals, because, I think an author brand is very important, but we have plenty of clients who are like, look, I just wrote this one book. I'm excited about getting it out there. I want to share my story with readers, but I'm not looking to get my name out there. There's plenty of promotion that can be done. And, so again, it comes down to your goals. But if you're looking to make a career out of this, I mean, you're doing it brilliantly, and people should just follow what you're doing. You're maximizing, what you have. Like, you're having this show, you have merchandise that you can do. You're, great on social media. Like, you're utilizing so many different platforms. So, when you're thinking about a brand, we have a lot of authors who come to us and they're like, I don't know what my brand is, and maybe they even write across different genres. So it's not even as simple as like, oh, I write Midwestern mysteries. Like, no, maybe they write kids books and this, so we try to find some kind of common theme in what they do. Like, maybe there's a romance element throughout each genre that they work on, or maybe there's like, we have one author who, like, kind of climate change issues come up in all of her books, or some kind of like mission, that she puts, even if it's a picture book versus an adult novel or a middle grade book. So she writes across even different demographics, but there's something that ties it together that she feels passionate about. So I would just say, yeah, think about, like, if you, were just talking to your friend and you're like, this is why I write. This is, what I think I'm bringing to the table that other authors maybe aren't, or, just talk to a friend and explain it that way. And I think that will kind of help you define what it is that like matters to you most and how you see your brand. And otherwise, brainstorm with the publicist, because they can definitely pull something out of their hat for you.
Okay, so narcissism question time. There was a completely different question that I was gonna, something. Let me push my narcissism question back. Let's service the audience first, and then I can't say that service that would not sound correct. Then my own interests come next. So servicing the audience first. You mentioned reading lists, you mentioned articles, you mentioned the newspaper. What type of publicity are out there for people to be looking for? And I have a completely set other question that does not go with this whatsoever, but I'm going to put an and in between it because, hey, let's make them fit. After that and, how can we write a good pitch letter?
Oh, that totally goes hand in hand. Because that's actually how I would explain how there's different types of media. So, again, coming from a journalism background, we know what it's like being pitched all the time. And Lord knows you don't want to get an email that says, "Dear name, I'm writing," like, don't send mass emails. Don't do it. Personalize everything you send out. Is going to be so much more effective. Do research on who you're reaching out to. So the kinds of things that you can look at. One of the best tools I think an author can use is look at comparable authors and books that have come out recently. Go on Google and search for coverage that has come out, just type their name and book title and search that and narrow it down to results that have come in the last year. And, then go look at those people. Okay, let's say Book Riot put the book on a reading list. Okay, now go click on that Book Riot reporter's name and look at their bio, see what they usually cover, see if are they still covering stuff, or are they kind of outdated and now you need to find someone else at Book Riot. Just be aware of who you're reaching out to. Try to get a feel for what they cover. Do they usually do reading lists? Do they ever do interviews? Do they ever do book reviews? Know what you're pitching. So if you do the research on the front end, that, I talked about maximizing earlier, that's our thing. Like, you will maximize your effort when you're reaching out to them. So as far as like what goes into a good pitch letter, it's, "Hi, so-and-so, I saw you did this recently. And, here's why I think you would be interested in this." Like, obviously there's more information that goes into all of that letter, but show them that you know what you're talking about and why you're reaching out to them. Be personal about it, be human. No one wants a machine form letter, spam email. Like, no.
Oh my goodness. Thank you so much. I just learned a few things that I need to pick up on my pitch letter. So I'm excited.
You got this. You're already doing so well. Like, I imagine you do a lot of this, like, just naturally. You just haven't thought about it in that way, like in a formula way.
Okay, so I should take, instead of having my narcissism question, I might just have my narcissism moment, and then I'm gonna follow up my narcissism question. So my narcissism moment, what everyone has heard, but I'm saying it again. The reason that we got so many emails was because I did what she said not to do. Someone told me I couldn't do it, so I researched pitch letters and sent out 6,000 letters in 3 months. And they were tailored for the show, obviously. Like, if this person
was great,
then this was just shocking. Pitch letter. So I didn't just write, like, I wrote like 20, 30, 40 different pitch letters. So when I talked to that person, I knew what I was doing.
Personalizing it a little. Yeah, that's great.
Yeah. So anyway, but that gave us 125 interviews. And that's the only reason we did well. Because it was massive and it was months.
Yeah.
And it was all I did from 7 a.m. to like 6 p.m. Anyway.
That's a commitment. But see, that's just it. You did personalize things a bit, and you knew what you were doing. Like, you went about it in a strategic way, even though it was on a massive scale, but you still put that personalization to it.
And then, okay, my narcissism question, of course, since I am a poet, any advice for poets? Because every time I ask a publicist that comes to like the Writers Association, or I go to a Writers Association now, like, so, and poets, how do you, how would poets, like, and they say, write a library and hope for the best, cross your fingers.
Yeah, it's definitely, like, I'd say about 5-6 years ago, we were probably sending the same kind of responses when we would get people who had poetry books, and we'd say, like, we have a lot of people on our team who love poetry and read it extensively. And, I
know this poetry book that's so good.
Yeah. I mean, we would
7 or 8 of them.
there's this one in the, no, but like we, so we were also hesitant to take on poetry books on time, because when we have authors write us interested in working with us, we want to make sure that it's a good fit and that we're excited about it and we can be passionate about it and that we, can deliver results for them. But, so yeah, 5 or 6 years ago, we were kind of saying some of those similar things. Now, like poetry has had its like resurgence, and there are like lots of people who are covering that specifically. And so I think in some sense, you're treating it just like you would a novel launch. You want to go after, the places that make sense to go after, like the people who actually cover poetry, or things where you can utilize the author's background and, where they're from and, what their poetry is about. A lot of it will be like inspirational stuff. There's so many different inspirational sites you can go after, or like might be about women's issues, go to feminist magazines. Like you can handle it very similarly to how you do, a different type of genre. So yeah, I actually think it's like really made a comeback in the last like 5 or 6 years, especially. And there's so much opportunity out there for it.
Thank you. I have to say that's one of the best answers I've ever heard. I love it. I love it. I was like, I have things to do. Well, not really. I've done most of them already for us. So anyway, what's the name of your company, first of all? I should have started off with this. And what specifically what can an author, when they sign up with you, think about happening in their career or goal? What do you offer for them? That should have been the question. What do you offer the authors? I'm telling you, the pain is getting a little bad. Can you tell?
Well, you can see I'm used to talking about my authors and not about us, because I didn't even mention it either. So yeah, we are books forward, like forward motion, like not a books forward in the beginning of the book. And we can help, like what authors should realistically expect. It's branding. If you come for traditional publicity, and what that means is building up a catalog of media coverage and review quotes, endorsements, accolades, award wins, like tools like that can then be used to, again, strengthen your advertising efforts later, or help you when you're querying agents. If you're an indie author who's now trying to go traditionally published, there are ways that you can use that publicity long-term. It's also just great for SEO. So when people are, searching terms or things that might, like things for your genre, maybe they're looking up reading lists on Goodreads, and we want your book to pop up higher on those lists. So doing things like that to where we make your book visible and more optimized on reader-centric platforms. Just making it easier for readers to find, especially readers interested in your genre, avid readers interested in your genre. We want to make it as easy as possible for those people to find your book, because from there, word of mouth can start. So a lot of times we work with authors, and we get to the end of a campaign and there's a lot of coverage to show for it. And it will continue to have a value years down the road. Like with some of our authors write us, they're like, gosh, that one radio interview I did, I got 3 more things from it. And then that led to the speaking engagement. And it's just like a snowball effect. So a lot of what we do, there's like a short-term impact. Absolutely. Like you'll get a lot out of it, but then there's this long-term benefit that we sometimes can't even envision where some of those things are going to go. So that's really exciting. But I will say, don't hire a publicist if you are like, I want to immediately have a return on my investment. Like you need to be prepared to run the marathon, because it is not a sprint. And, we're very frank with our authors of what we think is the most kind of worthwhile, promotions for them to do. And we really try to work with our authors on their budget that they feel comfortable with, and put a plan in place that makes sense for them. And there goes the cat again. But yeah, so that's just, go into it with the right expectation and know what you're hoping to achieve. And if you're not sure, have a conversation. You don't have to sign on for anything, reach out and talk to someone, and talk to other authors who have used publicists. And, I will say there are unfortunately a lot of, and this goes all over the publishing industry, from publishers and publicity firms and agents. There are a lot of people out there, just sharks, who take advantage of authors. And it infuriates me. And so be careful. If someone has had a bad experience, don't assume that that's the case with everyone. But do your homework, make sure you're working with a credible organization and ask questions, really make sure you know who you're signing on with, and make sure that reputation and brand is there.
I was going to say that our last question, but then I remembered there was a question I wanted to ask, and then our last question I would ask that. So my question I want to ask is about every author's dream out here. Good Morning America, The Daily Show. What do we need, and what is the possibilities? Like, what's the probability of us being on these things?
I know I hate to be the gloom and doom, and this is like the journalist in me, because again, I hate that there are agencies and firms out there that will like put a false promise in an author's head. Like, that is a thing where, yes, have that goal, but then no, you're going to have to put these other things in place to get there. So the authors that we've had on there are either with a huge publishing house, and those publishers sit down with the producers in the beginning of the year and they say, these are our priority titles, our lead titles, and like that kind of stuff is way out of your hands. Now, another thing is, there's a possibility of like going viral and like doing some kind of goodwill thing that, goes viral on TikTok, or just something interesting and different that you're doing that's not just releasing a book, but it's tied in with a movement or something that you're doing. We had an author on there just recently because he was an emergency room doctor, and it like just chokes me up, but he was an emergency room doctor during the pandemic, and he was totally quarantined from his wife. It was at the time when we were just all like freaking out in the first couple of months, and he channeled the like horror of what he was dealing with into this like adventure fantasy for young adults. Like when he couldn't see his wife, and he's watching the sadness happen in this emergency room every day, and he goes home and he can't even be with his wife. It's just like, oh, but he channeled it into this beautiful thing, and he ended up being on the Good Morning America because it was just such an inspirational story. But yeah, so like there are those kind of 1 in a million ways that it can happen, but don't just let it be your only goal. Again, I don't want to be gloom and doom, but like, if that's your only goal, why? Is it just because you like want the fame? I don't blame you. Is it, but like, what are you bringing to the table that the thousands of other authors pitching Good Morning America are not bringing to the table? And just be aware of that, and don't badger the producers unless you really have something that, is unique and different, and that, is very national, relatable. And I don't know. Yeah, it's possible, but it is very hard, and I would not have it be your only goal.
I always say that, if you are an author and you wrote a book and that's the only thing about you, then probably don't even think about it. I'm not credible, but I always tell people who come to me and they're like, oh, I want Good Morning America. First of all, I've never been on it. So, but like they say they want it. And I'm like, so your book has to deal with a social issue that is definitely hot right now.
Yep.
If Black Lives Matter came along and you wrote a book that dealt with the story of Black Lives Matter, and it was personal to you because you were in the movement beforehand,
yes,
go for it.
Right, 100%. Authentically.
That's your moment. That's your moment if you want that. But
yeah.
If you didn't, just let it go.
Totally.
Wrote a book about some family that was somewhere and they were loving life in Italy. This ain't your moment.
Great. Yeah, that's wonderful. There is a market for it. There's tons of media outlets out there that you can reach out to.
But don't waste it.
Yeah.
I'm sorry, because I'm just sitting here giving advice, and I'm like, I'm not in the industry.
No, you know from experience. I mean, that's the thing. Publicists, we don't have some magic wand, but we have experience, and we know the things that, might be worth spending your time on and worth trying. And I mean, you've been through it. You like have so much experience in that realm.
Or you have the personal relationship. And I'm gonna say, for me, the reason I want. Oh my God, isn't that nice? Like, once you get a personal relationship and you don't use it all the time, but every blue moon you just come across a person that you're like, oh my God, it's worth burning every friend favor I've ever acquired. For the love of God,
I know
you gotta talk to them.
I know it.
And then that's the time where you're like, I'm not sending an email and picking up the phone. Hello.
Like, this is serious.
And it's not even the business phone, it's the cell phone.
Oh gosh. Yeah.
I've only ever had one person like that. And I was like, well, hello. I never did it again, ever. I've never done it again.
Hey, you got what you
It
need.
was so scary.
You pulled the one favor. You did it. Hey.
I was like, oh man, but now you don't have that favor anymore.
I know. Hey, but if you're still bringing something quality to them, you could probably have another favorite, in a couple years.
Yeah. I was thinking that the other day. I was like, oh, I've got years. That's okay. I'm sorry. I should not be talking about this. I am sorry, y'all. I think it's the pain that's making me talk about this. But I was going to say, like, for me, Good Morning America, it was like one of the things I was like, oh my God, if I could just get Good Morning America. It's like, because at the time we had a talent manager and she was like, the sales from Good Morning America is so
it doesn't hurt, that's for sure.
And I was like, I need that sales boom. I need that sales boom. And then I read about this. So y'all, I'm sorry, you are the publicist, but I just wanted to quickly say, y'all, you got to remember that other countries exist. There's
100%.
This Morning Canada, Good Morning Britain.
Yeah.
Lady something or the women something or another over in England. Huge sales boom. Australia this morning. I mean, if they speak English,
yeah,
you should be there.
A lot of people forget about that. That's a great tip.
India, most of their educated folks, they speak English. Anyway.
Yeah.
I don't know why. How did this become me talking about me? I'm such a darn narcissist.
It's like you're giving because you've been through this before. You've been through the whole show. Like, you know what it's like, and you're speaking from personal experience. Like, you're helping everyone with what you've learned. Like, you're a lovely human being. You're not being narcissistic at all. You have information to share.
Last question. Where can people find out more information about Books Forward? And then click that buy button to actually pay you guys so that they can get, like, not Good Morning America, but other publicity.
Well, it is booksforward.com, and all of our social media is there. And that's, again, forward, like forward motion, not the forward in a book. So yeah, booksforward.com, and you can connect with us via email, phone, TikTok, Instagram. There are much cooler people on our team who run all of those fun accounts, and we can be reached by any of them. And we also have a really fun program. If any of you are just avid readers, we have what's called our Books Forward Friends. We call them our BFFs. Nerds. We're such nerds. And you can sign up to receive a monthly newsletter where you can get free books in exchange for reviews of all genres. So we don't spam you. Just once a month, you either fill out the form for what you want or you don't, and that's fine. But yeah, we work with different influencers all over the world. So check that out as well. It's on the website.
I think I'm going to have to go over there and see if y'all can help me with my publicity.
Come on.
All right, I'm going to wrap it up for us over here. And when I say us, I do not think that I have two personalities living in this body, although it's one, if they were, it would be one would be glamorous and the other would be gorgeous. Oh wait, I didn't say that there should be good writer. I'm sorry, one would be glamorous, the other would be good writer. There we go. No, I'm talking about my Miss and compadre Jade. She's not here today, so there you go. You can check out everything that your ladies are doing at www.andithoughladies.com. And while you're there, go down to the middle of the page, because they're no longer at the bottom. They're in the middle of the page, and you can see the charities that we proudly support. Please, you guys, help them out also, because this is a hard time for everyone, and we're all bouncing back, and so are the charities. So if you can give your times, resources, information, education, opportunities, whatever, please go over there and see if you can help them out. We thank you in advance for that. And remember, y'all, that wisdom is all around you if you're open to finding it and accepting it. So peace and love, you guys, from Winona and the Missing Jade. Oh yeah, thanks for listening.